Welcome to Houston Sports Talk with your host, Robert Land.
Thanks for listening to the best Houston sports podcast. And joining me is Astros hard-throwing relief prospect Jonathan Sprinkle, who spent last season pitching at three different minor league levels, Asheville, Fayetteville, and finishing in Corpus with the Hooks. Thanks for joining me, Jonathan. And where exactly are you at the moment? Which city?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm actually in spring training right now. We're having a little mini camp going on right now. So I'm over in West Palm Beach, Florida at the spring training facility.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a little bit later what's all going on with that. But quick reminder for anyone listening to the podcast that you can also watch us on YouTube. And a little bit of background on you, Jonathan, as we start. You're born in Overland Park, Kansas, a suburb of Kansas City. Then you spent 3 seasons at the University of Central Missouri before signing with the Astros. This means that you actually played at Jim Crane Stadium, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They actually just did a renovation on it. I think they just finished it last year, so I wasn't able to see that renovation. But yeah, it's a beautiful place. Love Central Missouri and nothing but good things there.
How was it? How was the stadium? Was it nicer than other conference stadiums? Is it a little more tricked out?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's one of the best T2 stadiums out there, to be honest with you. And then especially with the new renovation, they just got a brand new clubhouse, brand new athletic training room. All the coaches got brand new offices. So it's pretty decked out now. I haven't been able to walk into it yet because they finished it right after COVID. And then they got into things. So I kind of let things be. And then I got put here. So, I'm going to go see it probably in person, I don't know, next off season. But they're rolling right now. That they're doing their thing and I'm proud of them. So roll stable.
Oh yeah. And did you ever get a chance to meet Crane himself?
I did actually. Yeah. It was when we went to the Houston Invitational every year. Central Missouri goes to it every year down and we play at Minute Maid. And we had Crane was always nice enough to invite us to his suite for dinner, the night before everything starts. And he would always talk to us, and I got to talk to him a little bit after dinner was over for like 5-10 minutes, which was really cool. But he's a great guy. He's very generous and very blessed to be there and very blessed to be where I'm at right now.
Well, we mentioned Warrensburg, where Central Missouri is at. Believe it or not, I've been to Warrensburg once. My mom's from Joplin, Missouri. So coming out of high school in Houston, I go to Missouri Southern in Joplin. I know you know where I'm going with this. Before I finished up at the University of Missouri Journalism School, I was down at Southern in Joplin. Most people listening won't know, but Missouri Southern's in Central Missouri's conference, the MIAA. I did TV play-by-play for Missouri Southern Lions football and basketball. Unfortunately, Jonathan, I didn't get to do any baseball.
Missed out there.
You signed as a free agent not long after they instituted this much shorter MLB draft, only 5 rounds. You were projected, from what I understand, somewhere between the 10th and the 14th round. What did you think when you heard about the shorter draft? Did you like the idea?
I was disappointed, to be totally honest with you, because there was a lot of guys that definitely kind of got screwed a little bit on the money side of things. But me and my agency kind of went into that free agent talk. I had talk from a couple other teams before the draft happened. Me and my family watched the draft happen, and obviously I didn't get picked up, which was a little disappointing, but anything could have happened in the five rounds that happened. Some teams went for a little shorter pay on some guys. Some teams went all out on some guys because it was only 5 rounds. A lot of teams took different aspects of it. But the 2-day grace period where nobody could talk to anybody, we kind of talked with my agency, talked with my family. We were opening the door to free agency. But honestly, I didn't have a decision made on whether I was going to go back or sign or what. I just wanted to hear everything out. And Houston was right on me, right out of the rip when free agent talk happened. And it was between Houston and another team at the end of the day. And I went to bed, kind of slept on it, woke up the next day and decided to go with Houston. And I'm very grateful I did. I'm loving the process. And I'm very grateful for everything that I've done. And I'm excited to see what I'm going to continue to do.
I'm wondering what your impression of the Astros were, because, the last couple of years, they've been enemy number one around baseball. Is that something that you thought about coming in?
Oh, it was hilarious, actually. Yeah. So I thought about that, and especially when in 2021, when minor league season came back in full force. I mean, sure, we heard the whole, stereotypical chirps about all of that, and it was kind of funny though, is that was in 17, right? And I was graduating high school. Like I wasn't anywhere close to where I was and to where I am now, and it's just kind of funny because everyone's going to have their one shirt, but at the end of the day, it's just noise, and you just got to cancel it out and do your job. And that's just kind of what we did. And that's kind of how I went at things throughout the whole season. And dealing with it wasn't really a challenge, and it wasn't really like a thing any of us had to work against, because we weren't on that team. We weren't we're all focusing on getting the job done every night and continuing to get better. So noise is noise.
You're from the Kansas City area. Were you rooting against the Astros? Be honest with me now, in 2015 in the NLDS.
Yeah, no, I was actually there at one of the games when Kendrys Morales hit a home run off of Dallas Keuchel. I can't remember I think it was game 5, but one of those games, and that was electric. I hate to say that against the Astros because I love this organization, but I'm a Kansas City boy, so I love my Royals. But yeah, that game was insane. I was there with a couple buddies, and it's the second loudest stadium I've ever been in, but Arrowhead takes the cake on that one. So.
Yeah, that place I've been there on the field in the middle of a game. It's the loudest stadium. I always tell people the loudest place that I've been, and I've been to 110,000 at the University of Tennessee for football. I've been to a lot of different places. It's the loudest place. You're a Royals guy. Who were your guys growing up? Who were your baseball heroes, the guys you looked up to?
I loved Alex Gordon for a long time. He was a great character on and off the field. He did things for the community that kind of go unseen that really should get more light. I mean, he's a great guy. I loved Danny Duffy, watching him growing up a little bit. I mean, he's a phenomenal pitcher with a great fastball. In 2015, when they had that insane bullpen of Herrera and Davis and I'm blanking on the third name. Herrera, Davis, and
oh, it's been a while for me too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Sorry, but that 3-pitch mix out of the bullpen was insane, and that was really fun to watch. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Alex Gordon. Is probably one of my childhood guys growing up that I love to watch. And I know I'm a pitcher, but I mean, the way he carries himself on and off the field, in my opinion, and the things he did for the community were really good, especially personally, because he helped my brother out when my brother was going through some things, which was really nice and very, he did not have to do what he did, but he did. And it was extremely generous, and it was very, very thoughtful, and he meant a lot to my brother. So
can you explain that a little bit? What was that all about?
Yeah, no, for sure. My brother, when he was 10, was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphocytic lymphoma cancer. And he was a big fan of baseball, and that kind of ended his career at a young age. But he just always loved to be around the game and kind of understand things. And Alex Gordon has a charity that he does around Kansas City, and my brother went to a couple times, and he met him, and Alex signed a couple things for him and talked with him and kind of had conversations here and there with him. And it was really cool to kind of see this big leaguer who pretty much is going to be in Kansas City forever and retired in Kansas City and was a Kansas City hero, be with this 10, 11-year-old kid that's struggling, going through things. And it was really cool for him to take time out of his day and do all that. And I'm forever grateful for him.
How did what happened to your brother affect you and your life, and how you look at things?
Yeah, no, for sure. That was when I was in high school, and it affected our family tremendously. We had nights to where it was rough, kind of socially. It was a little weird too, because you got looked at in a different light, and I just honestly wanted what was best for my brother. And I woke up, went to school, after school, went to practice, went home, did homework for a little bit, went to the hospital, saw him, went back, did more homework, went to bed, restart the day. That was my daily routine for a long time. But he's doing great now. He's in full remission. He's a fully healthy kid. He's good.
Right. That's great.
Yeah, I'm happy and blessed for him to be where he's at now, because it was a rough 2 years, but he's fine. He's about to turn 19 actually, so congrats to him. And yeah, I mean, he's been in remission for, complete remission for 5 years now, so he's good.
Did he get a chance to come see you at all in any of your 3 stops this past year?
Yeah, he definitely has. It's funny because me and him talk about baseball a good amount, and even though he doesn't play anymore, he still enjoys the game and watching it with me and my dad whenever we were at home. And he always watched my college games, and he always listened in on the radio with my dad, so that was kind of their way of bonding even more. And I'm happy that I could, help be more of a talk and have help them out however they needed to. Because I mean, him going through what it went through and having the social aspect taken away from him for 3 years growing up is hard. So him kind of getting back to the swing of things with that, with being able to have conversations with people about just normal things, which baseball was a big part of that for him. So that was nice.
Wow, that's really cool. Let's get to this past year with you and the Astros organization, because this is your first year. You move up real quickly. 44 innings, 3.48 ERA. You average nearly 17 strikeouts per 9 innings. How did you feel about moving up so quickly and having that kind of success? Were you surprised?
Yeah, honestly, a little bit. When I started off in low A in Fayetteville, I was honestly just really happy to break with the team. That was one of my goals in spring training, was just to break off with the team, because I was a free agent signed out of COVID, so something like that could easily get swept under the rug a little bit. So I was just really pushing to break off with the team. Ended up breaking off with the team. My walks were pretty high in Fayetteville. I do remember that, but I was also striking out a good amount of guys, and I know that me and my pitching coach and pitching directors and all that were talking, and we were working on mechanical stuff in order for me to kind of get my body under control, in order to not have violent, pulls, glove side, and have all that jazz affect my game. And then moved up to Asheville, tourists. That was fun. Definitely an elevation change from Fayetteville, that's for sure. And that stadium is definitely not pitcher friendly at all. 295 down the right field line, brutal.
Wow.
But it is what it is, and you have to adapt to the field that you're on. So you make adjustments, and you make notes of how hitters kind of go at things in Asheville, because it's a very different ballpark from how everyone else has played. Like that and Rome are completely opposites, because Rome is very hard to get the ball in the air and have it go. In Asheville, you can flick your wrists at it and it's going to be a home run. So that was a very interesting part for me, on just learning how to go from stadium to stadium, and how hitters kind of change who they are and their approach at the stadium. That was a big kind of thing for me to learn. And then, Corpus was a lot of fun. I was there for the last month and a half of the season. That for me, my adjustment there had to be like the big misses, and especially guys at that level, the eye gets so much better. They're very, very disciplined with their strike zone, and not a whole lot of swing and misses happen at the higher you get. So for me, it was be able to locate stuff in and out of the zone, 2, 3, 2, 4 inches off the plate, however you wanted to attack a hitter, was how you wanted to execute your pitches, went hand in hand. That for me was the biggest thing. And then I was able to get my walks under control halfway through Asheville, I believe. And then I was pretty good from there on out. But yeah, definitely don't want to have the walks recreate this year. So I'm going to continue harping on that, because that was my biggest takeaway. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, three levels in one season was a lot of fun. I'm very happy that I was able to do it. And I'm just excited to see where this year goes, because who knows? Sky's the limit.
You mentioned it. You were in Asheville, Fayetteville, the Woodpeckers, the Corpus Christi Hooks. Favorite uniform of those 3?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh man, wow, I wasn't ready for that. I liked Fayetteville's jerseys. I liked the all black ones, because I've never worn an all black jersey in my life, so that was kind of funky and new. but the Beer City jerseys in Asheville were pretty cool. Those are pretty electric. So either the military appreciation ones in Fayetteville or the Beer City in Asheville. Those are my top two. I don't know if I can pick one out of those top two, but I'm gonna go with those.
Yeah, some pretty good stuff to choose from, I think, with the Astros minor league system. We should mention also that you were a reliever in college too. You went from starter to reliever from high school to college. A lot of guys have to make that adjustment from starter to reliever when they move to the minors. So I'm assuming that helped a ton.
Oh, I loved it. I mean, that was one of the things that was funny is that whenever we were having meetings through COVID and all that via Zoom, it was very just, guys were still figuring out, are you going to be a reliever? Are you going to be a starter? I mean, I was happy that the second I signed, if we were like, you are solely a reliever, it's not even in the question. This is what you are. And I was all for it. I love it. I love pitching in high leverage spots. I love being able to come into the game to help out starters if they need it. I've always liked relieving more just because it's kind of a throw into the fire and see what you do kind of thing. And I always like that. And my one start I had, the first start I ever had in college wasn't too great. So that's fine with me.
Tell the Astros fans out there who haven't seen your pitching repertoire, what your style is, how you do things on the mound. And I should tell everyone who isn't familiar with you that you're 6'6", which is about 1 foot taller than an Altuve, our universal Astros measurement. So a pretty big guy out there, pretty imposing on the mound.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have 3 pitches. I have a cutter, a slider, and a splitter. The splitter's pretty new, actually. I think you're the first person I've actually told about that. So we just started messing with it a little bit. I also have a little bit of a sinker. It's not anything crazy right now, but it's another pitch that I'm kind of working on going. It's trying to split the plate horizontally both sides. But the cutter, I think, is what kind of makes me unique. Is I hold it like a true 4-seam, but I get on the side of the baseball to where when I spin it, you still get true backspin and you still get backspin spin, but I'm on the side of it to where whenever it's coming out of my hand, you can't see the dot because it's on probably like a 2 to 6 scale on like a clock, or not 2 to 6, sorry, a 2 to 7, 2 to 8 on a clock, to where you don't see the dot, but it's coming at you here, and then it dives in at the very end. So that's kind of my unique thing that makes me who I am as a reliever, and that's kind of one thing that makes me successful. But a slider that I throw, probably it's my go-to pitch in a lot of counts, no matter if I'm ahead or behind. I have a kind of a get me over and then a put away pitch with it. And then the splitter's pretty new. I've got the shape pretty much down. Now I got to get the control to go with it. But and then the sinker is just kind of the same as the slider. It just goes the opposite direction. So I've been able to play with a lot of stuff, and I got a good feeling about all of them, and I'm excited to see where they're at this year and kind of dive in at it.
You said you were trying to get that control a little bit better as the year went on last year. Then you add in another pitch. I mean, that's a whole other deal. Now you got to figure out how to control yet another pitch.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely a tall order. I think I can do it because I've been throwing the 2-seam sinker, whatever you want to call it, for a while now. I threw it all off season. The splitter is going to be the most new, just in the fact of I'll be honest with you, I've only thrown it for a week, and I got the movement down, which is nice, but I don't have the control aspect of it. So that's one thing that's going to be my honing in on spring training with. That's going to be my big spring training, but everything else I honestly feel pretty comfortable with. Cutter's hard. It's right where I want it to be. Sinker's pretty good. It's just a little bit off the cutter. Slider's the same slider as last year, so I'm excited to kind of get that. That was my big weapon last year, and it's going to continue to be my big weapon. And then the splitter's just, it's going to be something that we'll see. It's going to be something that I'm going to throw, and if it gets good feedback, it gets good feedback. If it gets not, then I have my sinker, so I can split the play both ways that way. So either or I'll have something.
Looking forward to seeing how your numbers are going to be looking this year. We'll follow along with that. And the Astros organization has this reputation for being very cutting edge with everything. Is there anything in particular that they surprised you with, that they showed you, or maybe they've had you add in the last year, or just something that is different from a technological standpoint or whatever?
I used to counter rotate pretty bad, that they wanted to kind of eliminate a little bit. It's almost, I used to spin almost kind of like hater, to where my back was like fully towards the hitter whenever I lifted my leg. It kind of had a false perception for me, and even though I thought it helped, it really didn't when it came down to the metrics of it. So they got rid of that, and it helped my control out a lot, because I was able to keep everything going directionally towards my target, not spinning and then flying away on it. So that helped a lot. Tempo for me is big. I like to keep my tempo the same on everything, even if it's ball, strike, hit, strikeout, walk, whatever it is. Tempo is a big thing for me. And then a funny story is when I first got into the organization, I was a 2-pitch mix, right? I had a cutter and a curveball. And I mean, I thought my curveball was pretty good in college. I got a good amount of swing and misses on it. It's college, right? So you think your stuff is great. And then I got here, and then we went through the metrics of it, and then we kind of went through it, and they were just like, no, we're banging this immediately. So that's no longer in the arsenal, which is fine by me. But yeah, I mean, learn my slider. That's been a really good weapon for me. I'm able to tunnel it pretty well off of everything else. So it was really good for me last year.
Which catchers did you work with over the last year? Did you work with Korey Lee and Yonder Diaz?
Yeah, I've probably worked with almost everybody in the organization. I was with Nery Rodriguez and Loe. The only Nery Rodriguez, guy that got released by our organization, and then CJ Stubbs, Korey Lee, Yonder Diaz, Luke Berryhill, Sean Manea. Am I missing anybody?
This is an incredible list just for
I know, right? I know, right? I think, yeah. I mean, the only people that I didn't work with was Garrett Stubbs, but he got traded away to the
Phillies
last year, yeah. And then I didn't work with Papirski, but beyond that, I think I worked with everybody. So I mean, everybody kind of knows me and my repertoire and how I go at things, which is nice. And I mean, all those guys are extremely talented, and they all kind of catch differently and have their own way of going at things. So for me, it was really interesting to kind of learn how each catcher likes to kind of go at things. But they do an incredible job of listening to, us, the pitchers, and kind of what we want to do. But they're really good at knowing how much freedom to give us. If we are like dead set on throwing one pitch, they'll allow us to do it. But if we think we want to execute this pitch and they don't really like it, we'll kind of have a meeting and discuss it and figure out what's the best way. Because, catchers see things differently than pitchers, right? They could see, maybe he's setting up a little bit different in the box compared to how the last pitch. Maybe he took a really bad swing that they can see that I couldn't see. Maybe they muttered something underneath their breath that I can't hear, but the catchers can hear. All those subconscious things that hitters may or may not do. The catchers can see pretty well. So maybe they see it, maybe they don't. But I mean, they do an incredible job of working with us and making sure we're all on the same page and making sure that all the pitchers are the best versions of ourselves.
Lots of excitement about Korey Lee. He's going to be in Sugarland this year.
Yeah.
Astros fans want to know about him. What can you tell us about Korey Lee? What impressed you about him?
Oh, he's elite. I mean, anything that kid does, I mean, he's special, and I'm very happy to work with him. And me and him talk a lot in the hotel at the field and kind of all that jazz. And he's a special kid. He's gonna be there, and he's gonna do great things for the Astros community. I promise you that. One thing that I really like about Korey is kind of the way that he goes at catching. He's not a traditional catcher in my opinion. This is all my opinion. He'll be very lenient, but he'll also be very intense. And what I mean by that is, like, he's with you every single pitch. Like, he's with you. He's committed to whatever you want to throw. And if you throw it with conviction, then it is the right pitch no matter what. He's extremely talented with the bat. I mean, knows every pitcher's, quirks, how he goes at things, how maybe this is the good shape and the normal shape that we're wanting on a pitch, and maybe if it wasn't exactly the correct shape, do we go to the third pitch? Do we go back to the first pitch? Like, how do we want to attack that guy compared to a different guy? But I mean, he knows everything about that for everybody, and it's pretty fun. And he already is, but he's going to be really good.
That's exciting to hear. And I understand they're also trying to turn JC Correa, Carlos's brother,
Yeah.
into a catcher. What do you think about that? Because I think you would have played with them last year as well.
Yeah, I played with them in Fayetteville and in Asheville. First off, that kid's bat is electric. That's a really good bat. He had a stretch in high where he was hitting like 460 at one point or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, I mean, I was a little surprised. Apparently, I mean, me being who I am, I was surprised. I thought he did a great job at second and first, and I kind of thought that's where he was going to make his home. But if they want him catching and they see something in him that's going to be successful in catching, then more power to him. He makes him more versatile, right? And then I saw some videos on Instagram of him catching, and it looked pretty good. So I'm excited to kind of get with him, and me and him have talked, and he's excited to catch me and kind of see how my stuff is from a different side of things, and I'm excited to see what he has to bring to the table too. So, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to get him back there and see what happens.
That should be interesting. We're hoping to keep both Correas in the organization.
Yeah.
Who in the organization has helped you the most so far with advice on or off the field? Who's been the most helpful for you?
Oof. Wow, that's a great question. Are you referring to players, or are you referring to managers, coaches, or are you talking overall?
You can go any direction you want.
I think with mentality, I'm going to break this into some sections because I can't give you one overall.
That's all right.
Mentality, I'm definitely going to give Cesar Gomez, Jason Schroeder, guys that I roomed with in Fayetteville. I mean, those guys were phenomenal, and we all talked, after games, before games, in the apartment, wherever we could be, about the mentality of the game, because I mean, those guys' stuff is really good. And I mean, we talked all the time about how do we want to attack hitters, how do we come out with a presence on the mound that's like, I'm here, but it doesn't come off cocky in a way. How to kind of act, how to talk, how to self-motivate ourselves, how to keep ourselves in the moment instead of letting the moment get either too big or too small. I mean, we talked about this stuff all the time at Fayetteville. So like, those guys were incredible for my mental game, kind of helped me understand pro ball a little bit differently. So those guys, I mean, shout out to them. They're awesome. Mark McClare was another one of those guys. And then mechanical wise, Eric Neeson, the high A pitching coach in Asheville last year, helped me a ton, kind of slow myself down and get the walks under control and continue to let my stuff be my stuff. And he did a great job of just kind of honing me in and harnessing me in order to kind of understand who I am. That was awesome. And then from a catching perspective, I like to talk to the hitters. So, Korey Lee was another guy that I like to talk to see what he sees behind the plate. CJ Stubbs is another one that really kind of helped me, and he talked to me about a lot of things, which was nice. So I'm gonna go with those guys, and I know I'm missing guys that I've definitely talked to, and they definitely helped me along the way. But off the top of my head, right there, because that was a great question, those are my guys that I'm gonna roll with for right now.
Which relief pitcher in the bigs do you sort of model yourself after? Is there somebody that you think of yourself like, or you kind of try to emulate?
I mean, in college, it was Hader. I loved Hader. I loved his fastball. I loved his presence. I loved his slider. I mean, he's an all-star. I mean, there's not getting much better than that. But yeah, I mean, I was compared to Will Harris a little bit. I was with his cutter and the way he throws things. But yeah, I mean, I was a big Hader fan in college, just kind of watching, and that was one of the things that they had me, stop doing, was the counter rotation part of it, because I watched him so many times, and I just wanted to emulate it, because I mean, he threw such a good fastball, and I really wanted that in my arsenal. So I was, watching video all the time, trying to kind of blend his game into mine and make it a little bit of my own. So Hader for sure.
Wish we could have kept Hader in Houston, and I miss Will. Really, one of my favorite guys to talk to in the locker room for sure. Just a really great guy. Last year they tried those new rules in the minors. What did you think of the rule in Double-A? Let's start with that one. All four infielders, I believe, needed to have their cleats within the outer boundary of the infield dirt when the pitch was thrown.
Yeah, they had to be there. Honestly, I wasn't there in Double-A. I was there for the last month and a half of the season in Double-A. So those rules were already out by that point.
Oh, okay.
But Asheville and Fayetteville were the ones where we had to emulate the different rules. Asheville was different, and I didn't really like it, to be honest with you, that you had to disengage the rubber before you picked. I understand that they wanted to get more runners, more stolen bases and get runners in advantage, but it took away the aspect of picking somebody off. And I understand there were still guys who got picked off, but I mean, having a really good pickoff move to where you can just spin and throw the ball over to first fast, like that's a skill, and some guys rely on that heavily, and you took that away from them. So I wasn't a fan of it. I don't have a great pickoff move, to be 1,000% honest with you. It's something I'm working on right now, but I mean, for the guys that have, A+ moves, you just took away one of their best weapons. And I think that for a guy that has that skill, that's kind of bogus, because they work on it and they deserve to have it. But I understand what the league was trying to do and get more stolen bases. And then in low A, you only had, I think it was two. You only had 2 times where you could step off the rubber, and then on the third one, if you did and you had to get the guy out, or it was considered a balk. That one I understood. I kind of liked a little better, but at the same time, it got a little annoying, because if it was nighttime and you couldn't see your catcher's signs, or if you had a runner at first and it was a close game and you had a pick off and then you were looking in and you couldn't see your catcher's signs, you can't just step off and step back on and like do one of these. I mean, you had to just sit there and stare, and it slowed the game even more down, which they're trying to speed the game up. So I think that was a little detrimental, because I remember me and Nario weren't on the same page at one game in Fayetteville, and I couldn't see his signs, and I already picked off and I already stepped off once. So I just sat there on the mound with just staring at him. I couldn't see it. I couldn't step off. I just stared at him for probably 25 seconds. So, I mean, there's nothing I could have done at that point. So finally the batter called time, and then Nario came out and we got on the same page. But I was relying on the hitter to call time. I couldn't call time myself, or it would have been a balk. So that one I didn't like as much, but it made more sense in my eyes than not being able to pick off in high A.
Is there any, as a player or even as a fan watching, that you would like the major leagues to take in and give a shot? Because speeding up the game obviously is such a, it's such a bit of the conversation over the last few years.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's a positive and a negative to every side. So, I mean, you could talk about the shift, but I mean, I think Gallo had a good point that he tweeted about today. That was, if there's 4 guys sitting in the outfield and there's 4 guys on one side of the plate, it's hard for him to get base hits, which then makes him not as an elite hitter. And I understand the counterpoint of that as well, learn to go opposite field, but that's really hard when you already have so much success with the way you've been doing things. And then the league, makes it to where now you can shift to where it's different. But I mean, there's analytical sides to everything. There's opinions to everything. I like the clock. I think the clock's a good thing. Keep the clock in. I think shifts should be a thing. Personally, as a pitcher, I mean, you can set up your defense wherever you want. I understand how hitters don't like it, and I get it. But in my opinion, as a pitcher, I mean, I'm all for it. You can make the shift a permanent thing. I'm ecstatic that the universal DH is now a thing, because I don't want to hit. I don't need that in my life. I don't want it. My job is to throw and only throw.
What was your numbers in college? Did you get to hit much?
No, I didn't hit. I was strictly a pitcher in college. I hit in high school, but not in college. No. But I think if you're going to make the universal DH thing, I think you should add another spot to the big league roster just to kind of throw the universal DH so somebody else isn't getting screwed, in the bullpen or somewhere else. I think that should be a thing. But beyond that, no, I don't know anything about the talk going on with the PA and the MLB. I haven't heard anything. Even if I did, I can't say anything. So I have no information on that. But I'm going to leave that up to the big boys to decide. And then whatever they decide, we're just going to go play. So I just want to play. I just want to have fun. And that's kind of why I'm here, just to keep moving my way up.
The only thing I want to ask you about any of that, and this might help, I'm hoping this is going to go up and they're going to have already decided this, because I might wait a couple of days to put this thing up. But is this affecting anything about what you do, or what does the lockout do as far as your timeline or how you do things over the next few weeks and going into the season?
We have no information on that. We haven't talked about it. We haven't discussed it. And even if there was information on it, I can't discuss it.
Just your preparations though, as far as, that it hasn't affected you as far as getting ready for the season or anything like that?
No, all the minor leaguers are just going at things at normal, and anybody on the 40-man, that business is their business. But no, minor league season's still up, and we're going to play, and we're just focused on that.
Couple of super serious questions. What's your walkout song?
Disturbia by Rihanna, hands down. That or Desperado. That's another one. Rihanna's my girl. I love her. She's crowd friendly, gets the juices going, and hopefully we can hit some PRs this year with that. So that's what I'm going to roll with. And my trainer back at home and one of my best friends that lives in Texas now, they both know that's my walkout, and that's what we're going to roll with. So Rihanna forever.
I like that. I'm a Rihanna fan as well. Who's the craziest character or most off the wall personality of the guys you played with in the organization so far, since you've seen so many of these guys?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them. Are you talking just like the energy every day? Is that what you're referring to?
You can take it where you want. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Was there a trickster? Was there a guy, pulling stuff all the time? Any of that?
There wasn't really tricksters. There were guys that were really funny. Danny Cody is hilarious, and he's the guy I like to enjoy spending time with. Chandler Casey's another one who's pretty funny. These were guys in high A that I played with. Frelene Garcia, he's really funny. Not really a whole lot of tricksters or anything like that, but guys who just brought like really good energy to the field. JC Correa is one of them. CJ Stubbs is another one.
Did you see any guys with a really strange good luck ritual? You're like, what does he do?
There's guys that put the headphones on and kind of go through their, routine of things, but Kennedy Corona had this routine, and it's all for him, but he like went all the way around the batter circle and kind of did his thing, and it took a little bit, but he ended up getting there and going. But no, he's a good player. He likes to have fun, so yeah.
It was a little Bull Durham-ish, it sounds like, maybe.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. He did his thing and he balled out, so more power to him.
Well, man, it's been fantastic talking to you and getting to know you. I could do this for a long time, but I know you got places to go. Before we finish up, though, would you like to plug some of your social media handles in case any Astros followers want to connect with you?
Yeah, for sure. Let me pull it up here. I don't even know it off the top of my head, to be honest with you. That shows how much I'm on social media, right?
I think you're at JSprinkle _, is that right?
Yeah, it's JSprink _, and I think that's Instagram and Twitter. Yep, JSprink _ on Instagram and Twitter.
Oh, I should ask you, is there a great follow of the Astros minor leaguers? Like, who should Astros fans check out on Instagram? and Twitter? Is there somebody that we need to go look for?
I mean, Correa's got a really good, JC Correa's got a really good following going on. But no, I mean, everyone, honestly, there hasn't been a whole lot of things going on social media wise with everything going on. So, but Correa, definitely, I'm watching his catching highlights keep going and watching him keep better at that. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, feel free to, follow me and see what I'm up to. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure. I had a blast talking with you, and I can't wish you more success this year. We'll be keeping an eye on you and what's going on. But thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. If there's anything I can do, just please let me know.
You're listening to Houston Sports Talk.
Don't forget to follow Houston Sports Talk on Facebook and Twitter. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, the Google Podcast app, or the Stitcher app. You can support us by giving us a 5-star review on iTunes or by telling your friends about us. Spread the word, everybody. Thanks for listening.